Hi, and welcome to Bold Women Lawyers Live. I am happy to have you here today, and today we are talking about delegation and why that's so important in solo and small law firms. Now, I'm hopeful that we're having a guest today, but she may have a little trouble getting here. But if she's able to make it, then we'll just add her into our discussion. But the importance of delegation really can't be overemphasized. And I understand how hard it is when you are feeling overwhelmed, you're wearing all the hats that you have to wear as a woman lawyer in a solo or a small firm practice. And it's easy to think, you know what, it's just going to be faster for me to do it myself. I understand that. And the day that you say that to yourself, you might be right. That day it might be faster to do it yourself. But I can tell you that in the long run, in running your business, it's not going to be faster, and it will cause you to lose money. So let's take some examples. Now, let's start with answering the phone. I think we all know and understand that it doesn't make any sense for you as the lawyer to be answering the phone. It's not because you're incapable of doing that. It's not because it's beneath you. It's because it doesn't make sense for you to stop whatever it is you're working on to answer the phone from an existing client or maybe a potential client or a vendor or somebody who wants to make sure that you know that your warranty on your car is about to expire, okay? That's just wasting your time, and there's only a limited amount of time every day for you to work on your law practice and work on your cases and work on your business. So you don't want to waste it. And I think all lawyers really do understand that makes no sense to answer your own phone. Now, the next question becomes, so do I just set up a voicemail system? And when voicemail way back when first started, that seemed like a pretty viable option. And while you can still do it that way, it's not the friendliest of options for sure. It's not the most engaging. It's not the most welcoming, and it's probably losing you business. So I wouldn't recommend that. Certainly either have a staff person that's dedicated to answering the phones and doing other things, but you know, that's one of their primary purposes. Or you can use a service with live answering. And if you use a service, that's great because you don't have the expense of a W-2 employee. And so, you know, you've offloaded that expense, you've offloaded the workers' comp, you've offloaded the unemployment, I mean, all of that. And it's a service that's set up in a way that you're paying for use as opposed to paying for someone 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So there's great advantages to using a service, and they can answer the phone after hours and on weekends, and so that gives you even more coverage. But you want to test out any service that you're going to use. And when I say that, you want to know, well, who's using you? What other lawyers are using your service? Because you want to start making phone calls to those law firms and see how that service works. How are they answering the phone? Are they friendly? I mean, that's number one. Like, do they seem to be answering with a smile on their face, or are they so overwhelmed by all of the calls coming in that they sound grumpy? And if you're the potential client calling, you're immediately put off and thinking, oh, gee, they don't sound very friendly here. I don't know if I want to work with them. So you want to make sure that you test and make some phone calls to other businesses that use the vendor that you're thinking about using to see if they do the type of job that you expect them to do. The second thing you want to know, if you're going to use a service or if you have somebody in-house, is will they consistently use my script? And what do I mean by your script? You should have a written script as to how you want the phone answered. You've had the experience, I've had the experience, we've all had it, of calling a law firm, and the first thing you hear is a nasally voice that says, law office, and it probably doesn't even sound that friendly. That's not what you want. You want somebody answering the phone for you who is welcoming. This is what my team used to say. Thank you for calling Sharon Christie Law. This is Susan. We're really glad you called today. How can I help you? And that's how we greeted everyone who called, because we wanted them to know that we were happy that they called. It's not a bother. Yes, we're busy, but that's okay. We are happy to talk to you. If you're an existing client, thanks for calling. Let's figure out, what's going on with you. Let's answer your questions. If you're a new client, hey, welcome. Welcome on board. We are thrilled that you've called us. We're happy that you've chosen us, and let's talk. Let's see what we can do to help you. But the idea is be very welcoming, because you want your current clients and your potential clients to understand that you really are happy that they called, that you do appreciate their business, and that you will work hard for them. So that's one of the first lessons that clients will have when they call your law firm is, how is the phone answered? Make sure it's good, no matter who's doing it. Now, what are some other things that you can delegate? There's a pretty simple rule, and it goes by the value of an hour. Now, as lawyers, we totally understand the idea of a billable hour. So let's say that you bill your services, or you could, if you may be contingent, a contingent fee practice, but nonetheless, you can put a dollar value on your hour, right? And for simplicity's sake, let's say it's $300 an hour. That's what you would charge. And let's say that you are the person who is doing to all the people who need to get copies of it. Does that make sense? Well, it's not a $300 an hour activity. And again, it's not that you're not capable of doing it. Of course you are. It's not that that's work that's beneath you. It's not. But what it is work that does not have a value that equals what your hourly rate is. So wouldn't it make more sense to hire a paralegal at $25 or $30 an hour who's going to do that work, as opposed to you who could generate $300 an hour doing that work? You are much better off spending that time bringing in cases to pay for the paralegal. You are much better off spending that time doing the activities that only you as the lawyer can do to move cases forward so that you will receive payment. I mean, that's just a basic, business principle. We can't run our businesses if we don't have regular recurring income. And you want to be doing the activities that only you as the lawyer can do, because you do it at a higher billing rate. And that's true even if your work is contingent, because if it's contingent fee work, you want to get those cases moved to a resolution as quickly as you can. And if you focus on the work that only the lawyer can do, and you have support staff on your team, paralegals, legal assistants, medical records clerks, whatever it might be for your practice, if you have good people on your team that are handling those tasks, then together you are moving those cases forward to resolution and ultimately to payment. And that's what keeps your business going. So, sometimes I talk to lawyers and clients and they're like, well, but I can do it. I can do that work. You can. That's not the issue. You shouldn't be, because it doesn't make good business sense for you to be doing tasks that you can hire someone to do at a much lower rate than what your activities as a lawyer can generate. So we're not just talking about answering phones, we're certainly talking about activities that legal assistants or paralegals can do related to discovery if you're in a litigation practice, or related to drafting documents if you're in a business practice or a trust and estate practice. Doing the preparatory work so that you can step in at the point that you need real legal services that can only be done by a lawyer. That's how you're going to be able to free up your time to not only do the work that you need to do as a lawyer on your cases, but to be able to generate the business that you need to keep your firm going, to keep your firm growing, and to grow your revenue, and then certainly grow your profits. And that's ultimately what you want as a businesswoman. Increase your revenue and increase your profits. That's what you want. And so you need efficiency in how you run that business to make those two things happen. So if you catch yourself in that mindset of, oh, but I can do it, then you need to stop and ask yourself this question: but should I be doing it? Does it make sense for me to do it? Or does it make more sense for me to do truly legal work and delegate the other tasks that are so important to your cases, so important that they get done and done properly, but don't have to be done by you? So those are some things that you really need to consider when you are looking at what you're doing that is not strictly lawyer work. Sometimes you don't even realize it. And so I would recommend this. Track your time. Now, I know everybody rolls their eyes like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I get it. Now, if you're in a billable hour practice, you're very used to it. But you want to track your time for at least a week or 2 weeks, preferably a month. But I would say a week to 2 weeks is going to give you a good idea of what's going on. And really be diligent about recording what it is that you're doing and how long does it take you. And once you make that list day after day after day, and do it for a week. And then if you're inspired, do it for a second week. Sit down and look at all of the things that you are doing, and then make a list. What are the things that only you can do? And what's the value of that? And then make another list of the things that you've been doing that you could have someone else doing. And look at, in terms of your hourly rate, how much time and money you've spent doing those tasks. And then look at what it would cost you if you hired a team member, either as your employee or as an independent contractor, or using a service. Look at that, because when you start putting the numbers to it, it really does make a big difference in how you look at these activities in terms of how they affect your business and how you look at them as a businesswoman. And you have to always remember that when you're looking at your business, you're looking at it as a businesswoman. Now, one thing I did want to mention, it's not directly about delegation, but it's certainly related to it. And it has to do with intakes. When someone calls your office and they want to talk about a case, they need a lawyer. You certainly should have an intake process, but you need an intake script. And I've been surprised in talking to clients and in talking to other lawyers how frequently I hear, well, no, I don't have a script. We just sort of wing it. That's inefficient. But it's also making it much harder on you or your team to decide whether to take a case or not. So an intake script, it's not hard to do, but you do need to put some thought into it. You need to put some time into it. And if you have a team that you work with in-house, I would do it as a sort of brainstorming session with them. You want a friendly introduction. Like I said, we would use, thank you for calling Sharon Christie Law. This is Susan, whoever answered the phone, or Sam, or whoever it was. Because you want to feel, you want the caller to feel welcomed. And then, you know, how can we help you today? We're glad you called. How can we help you? And then the person would say why they were calling. And if it was a new client, we had a script of, you know, questions that would be asked, information that we would obtain every single time. Now, why was that important? Well, it was important, certainly for my team, that they knew what to ask. And ultimately, once, you know, we worked together and I was able to teach them, then they were empowered to make the decisions, yes or no, as to whether we would take that caller's case. Now, I had a disability practice. It was a high volume practice, and that made sense for that type of business, for them to be able to do that. You know, depending on the type of case that you have, it may make sense for them to get all the information and then have it reviewed by a lawyer for a decision. That's something that you need to figure out. But for me, it worked out great that once I taught them, then they were empowered to make that decision. And if they weren't sure, then all they had to do was tell the caller, listen, I know, you know, you're hurting and you're calling for help. I'm just not 100% sure if this case is going to be a good fit for us. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to Sharon about it, and I will get back to you by tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock or tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, you know, within about a 24-hour period. And that's what we would do. They would email me the information. If I had questions, I'd talk to them about it, and then we'd make a decision. But the intake script was something that was extremely important because it had all the introductory statements that they wanted to make, and then, you know, a list of questions that they wanted to ask the caller to get the right information so that we could decide, you know, yes, yeah, this is a good case, we can help you, or no, either this is not in our field of expertise, or we understand you're having problems, but we just don't believe that we're going to have a good chance of winning your case for you. So we'll have to say no. There is always a key there. But, you know, we're only giving you our opinion. This is how we run this law practice. But you should really get a second opinion. Let me give you the number for lawyer referral. We never had anybody hang up the phone without being given a referral. So if they called and they wanted a trust and estates lawyer, that was their problem. And they thought maybe we could help, and we'd say, no, we don't do that, but here, let me give you some numbers. And I would give them a couple numbers of some really good trust and estate lawyers I know, or bankruptcy, or whatever the issue was. So we never wanted anybody to walk away empty-handed, and that served me so well over the years, because people who were treated well remembered that. And I actually received clients from people who had called and we couldn't help them, but, you know, their next door neighbor needed a disability lawyer, and they would say, you know what, I called these people, they were really great, give them a call, see if they can help you. So my lesson today is delegate, delegate, delegate when it is appropriate and when it makes sense, dollars and cents wise, in your business. And secondly, make sure that you are always helpful to whoever's calling you. Be friendly to them. Have your staff be friendly to them. Have your vendors be friendly to them if you're using a service to answer your phone or to do your intakes or have any interaction with clients or potential clients. Be friendly, and if people call, potential clients call, and you can't help them, don't just say, sorry, I can't help you, and that's the end of the conversation and you hang up. Be as helpful as you can. I can't help you, but here's the number for somebody who might be able to help, and you should give them a call. People remember that, they appreciate that. People appreciate being treated well, especially in a world that doesn't always treat people well, as we know. They really appreciate kindness, basic respect, and somebody that is actually happy that they called a business. So incorporate that in your business. I think you're going to see great benefits from it. I know I did. So that's all I have for you today. And if you have any questions or comments, just send me an email, Sharon@boldwomenlawyers.com, or you can drop a comment on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to respond. Talk to you next week.